Welcome to the Whatif tutorials. In this tutorial we'll be looking at the job quotes module at calculating labour cost rates. We'll have a quick look at the work centre rates, one of which is the direct labour cost rate, and then we will have a closer look at direct labour cost rate calculation. On the main menu, click Master Files, Labour and Overhead, and then Work Centres. Here we see each of the work centres, and each work centre is created within a factory. We have the work centre code, description, the labour rate per hour, the efficiency, and the standard rate per hour adjusted for efficiency, the standard overhead cost per man hour. The total of those two give us our total cost, and here is a charge rate to be used for do and charge work for operations using this work centre, and we get a gross profit and percent sales. Okay, what we're now going to do is look at the calculation of that standard labour rate. The overhead rate and the charge rate have been covered in other tutorials. So click Master Files, Labour and Overhead, Direct Labour Cost Rates. These are the existing rates in the system. Within each factory, within each work centre, there can be a series of labour rates calculated. These are the ones that exist at the moment. You see it has a summary by numbers of employees and the average salary, pay per hour, ordinary, overtime, total, standard. Okay, let's create a new rate, a new labour rate. Click New. First click, select the factory. Next select work centre. We'll select that one, use, and this is for information only, as it is not used in the calculation, but it's for information. We have a code and a description. And a date range to tell when it applies to, and then further comments if required. Okay, we're now brought to the calculation form for direct labour rates. We've just created a new rate for work centre V123 called V123 ER, its description and its effective date. The first thing we have to do now is to enter employees. These are where we collect our components for employees. Click Add. You can add a specific employee from your existing employee list. Brings in his salary, so this is our first component. But however, as well as adding individual employees, we can add groups of employees. So we might put in 4 fitters, salary. Okay, so now we've got 2 components, one a specific person and one a group. So we've got 5 people and an average salary of 68, so use. So now our direct labour rate is going to be based on the average rate for that scenario per hour. First of all, we need to know how many hours we work a week, 37, and that calculates the equivalent base rate per hour. And next we have to calculate the weeks worked by deducting leave, both annual, sick and public holidays, to get down to weeks worked. Next we have to enter the overtime penalty factors. There's 3 in all, first being time and a half, say. And here we enter the average hours per employee. So we're saying the average employee, that's of these 5 employees, each on average works 2 hours per week. The next, if there's a double time, we might have 1 per week, and we have a further factor there if needed. Next we come to this section, allowances and on costs. There are up to 6 allowances or 6 allowances and 6 on costs that you can add. You can add them individually from a list of allowances, and you can create new allowances as you go. But rather than doing this, or instead of doing this, you can use a default which is previously created, so that you've got all your headings and all your dollars per hour for allowances and percentages for on cost. Note that there are 2 columns, one for ordinary and one for overtime, so that these allowances and on cost may vary or may not even exist for certain of the allowances and on costs. So that's the last bit of information required by the system. It now has calculated that the average standard direct rate per hour is $42.75 or 71 cents a minute. You can put some comments in here if you wish. So we say OK. You're now prompted, do you want to use this as the work centre rate? So of course there can be several rates in a work centre that can be used when you are actually costing jobs, but there needs to be a default, and let's say yes, we'll use this as the default for work centre V123. Click yes, and we now have our new rate of $42.75. Go back to our work centre here, and if we go to V123, down here we now see $42.75 is the new labour rate per hour, adjusted for efficiency to get $47.50. And that concludes this tutorial.